Hello, YouTube. I'm Vince White. I'm an employment attorney, and we're answering publicly posted questions on the internet, getting folks the answers they need from an employment attorney. We have a question posted by YouTube user Kia Garner. Not long ago, it seems. It says 3 hours ago. I don't believe that can be true, but perhaps it means our response time is improving on this channel. This question was posted on our video from December 7th of 2020 entitled, "Can I bring a sexual harassment claim with no evidence?" All right, so Kia Gardner asks, let me move this out of the way here. Since you can go back 3 years for this, what do you do when it is a he said, she said? I'm being told if you don't have evidence, it's not worth it. Okay. This phrase drives me insane. And I'm going to move my mic out of the frame as I rant. Okay, so here's the thing. 80s, 90s, early aughts, very, very common for people to commit horrendous hate crimes, horrendous acts of sexual harassment in crowded rooms with tons of witnesses and lots of evidence. That still happens today, but generally the bad actors have gotten a little bit more clever. Not better people. They're not less hateful. They're not less eager to take advantage of a power disparity to get sexual gratification. They're still monsters, right? But they're smarter monsters. And they understand some basic things from watching bad things happen to other bad people and probably digesting a bunch of television. They learned what not to do, right? And so we're in what I would call the era of elevator harassment. And what that means is that employers and bad actors working at companies will often look for situations like an elevator where it's just maybe the two of you. There's no one else around, and there's probably no microphones, and the camera feed might not be very good or might not exist at all. And that might be where they do whatever dirty acts they want to do, right? Whatever bad things they want to do that we would ultimately punish them for. And so when people come to us and they say, oh, blah, 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 this attorney said, it's just he said, she said. Well, that's most cases. And if you're an attorney in this field who is not interested in believing victims and representing victims in a one-on-one situation, he said, she said, right? I guess we should, he said, she said is your client says one thing, the defendant says the other thing. There's no other witnesses, no other evidence. If you're an attorney in this field and you're not comfortable putting your skill set on the line, building the credibility of your client and making that work for you, I don't know. I think you're just cherry picking. I think you're cherry picking for easy claims. And listen, it's going to make for an easy life, but you're not going to help as many people. Now, I myself got myself in a spot of trouble a couple of years ago, more than a couple of years ago now. In my impetuous youth, I was at a mediation with some fairly important people. And, you know, they kept shouting at me. It's a he said, she said. You're asking for too much, right? We were probably like an hour or two in, and I just kind of had enough of that narrative. I just wasn't interested. So we had everybody in the room, not the clients, but the mediator, a whole bunch of defense attorneys, a couple of attorneys from my firm. And they just went one more time. They're like, your client's never going to get what she wants. It's a he said, she said. You know it can't go to trial. And I was just like, yeah, it is a he said, she said. But I hear you guys are rapists. And they did not care for that. Now, inherently in that statement, what I'm saying is, I think people will believe my client. I think people will believe your client did what we say he did. I fundamentally believe that I can put a trial team in the field who can make people believe that, right? I believe in my client. I believe in her ability to share her tale, to share her story. And I believe in our ability to build a foundation of trust around her that a jury or a judge will also believe what she's saying, right? So it's important to know there's a lot of people who you look at and you say, oh yeah, that's a racist. Oh yeah, that guy lost his temper with a disabled person. Oh yeah, I could see that, right? There's a lot of people, there's a lot of guys especially, who you like interact with, you get them on the stand, kind of get things going. I think you could really get a lot of jurors to believe, oh yeah, that guy sexually harassed this woman. 100%. There's no question. I think that's the case. Now, listen, defense attorneys will try to sell you this idea of like, everybody hates victims, victim blaming, and we don't believe plaintiffs. Yeah, maybe, but I don't really buy it. And I think there's two good reasons why I don't buy it. One, the settlement rate in this field is bonkers high. If they thought they could win all the he said, she said cases at trial, the settlement rate in this field would be lower. It would. Why would they pay on a case they could win? It's not why. It doesn't make sense. Two, I think there is inherently value to that argument of it is a he said, she said, but your guy seems like a bad guy. These attorneys, they interact with this person they're defending, right? The mediator interacts with this person during the mediation, right? Everyone will be able to feel the greasy evil coming off this human being. They do. They're not fools. Sometimes they are. But generally speaking, they're not. And that's meaningful because they're going to look at their often guy, but their person, right? And they're going to say, yeah, I wouldn't leave my kids around you. And that's going to extrapolate to the next thought. Nor do I want to put you in front of a juror. I don't want a jury on this case. This is a nightmare. You're a nightmare as a client. And I don't want to try this. First off, I don't want to spend the time with you because you are a bad person who's done bad things. And although I'm taking money to defend you, I don't want to be with you. Second off, I could lose big because the jury, they can just choose who to believe in he said, she said. That's inherently what happens, right? The jury is the finder of fact. They're the ones who decide what they believe happened. So if it's he says this and she says that, the jury's just going to pick one or the other. Or some version in between, which is actually often what happens, right? Like they're going to say, often, I believe 90% of what this victim says. The last 10%, I'm not so sure. That happens a lot. I see that a lot. And that's often just a function of some of the things that happen in these cases are so wild that people are like, I don't think that could happen. They did happen. But often jurors just be like, no, that sounds like television. Right? Like often our cases sound like TV plot lines. And that makes people say, I don't know. Sounds like it was written by NBC, you know? And that's where you start to lose, in my experience, a jury sometimes. So Kia Garner, I do not believe that he said, she said cases are insufficient evidence. And I think that it is wise to pursue those cases, and attorneys who will not pursue those cases are just cherry picking for easy cases. And I don't love that. I don't love that for this industry because I think we should be helping people and not just sitting around waiting for an easy 6-figure case, 7-figure case to drop in our laps. But that's just my thought on the matter. And I hope this video is helpful. I hope whatever you're dealing with, that you have great success. And if this was helpful, like and subscribe, everyone. Helps me to help more people just like you.